The year is 73 BC, a time of great turmoil and change in the Roman Republic. In the shadow of Mount Vesuvius lies Capua, a city renowned for its luxury and decadence, a place where the elite of Rome came to indulge in their pleasures. Here, the story of Spartacus, the Thracian gladiator who dared to challenge the might of Rome, begins. His journey from a free man to a slave, and then to a leader, is one of the most compelling tales of ancient history. Captured and sold into slavery, Spartacus found himself in the gladiatorial school of Lentulus Batiatus, notorious for its brutality and harsh training methods. Capua was a symbol of Roman leisure and a hub of gladiatorial training, where the wealthy would gather to watch the brutal spectacles. Its amphitheater, one of the largest in the Republic, played host to grand spectacles of combat, drawing crowds from all over the region. For Spartacus, Capua represented both captivity and opportunity, a place of brutal training and the chance for fame, fortune, and perhaps even freedom from his chains. Within the harsh confines of the gladiatorial school, he would find a new purpose, a reason to fight, and ultimately, the inspiration to lead a slave revolt that would shake the very foundations of the Roman Republic to its core. The life of a gladiator was one of hardship, discipline, and constant danger. It was a relentless cycle of training and fighting, where only the strongest survived. For Spartacus, ripped from his homeland and thrust into the brutal world of the arena, the transition was harsh. He was torn from everything he knew and forced into a life of violence. Stripped of his identity and known only by his given gladiatorial name, he was forced to adapt to a new life governed by the unforgiving rules of the ludus. His past was erased, and his future was uncertain. Training began at dawn and continued until dusk. The grueling schedule left little room for rest or recovery. Under the watchful eyes of the lanista, Spartacus and his fellow gladiators were drilled relentlessly in the art of combat. Every mistake was met with harsh punishment. Each day was a grueling test of physical and mental endurance. The training was designed to push them to their limits and beyond. They sparred with wooden swords, twice their weight, their blows landing with bone-jarring force on wicker shields. The pain was a constant companion. Every thrust, parry, and dodge was a dance with death, a constant reminder of the fate that awaited them in the arena. The stakes were always life and death. The gladiatorial arena was not simply a place of mindless violence. It was a stage where life and death hung in the balance. Spartacus, like all gladiators, was schooled in various fighting styles and weapon combinations. Each type of gladiator had its own unique equipment and techniques. Spartacus, most likely trained as a murmillo, would have been a fearsome sight in the arena. Armed with a gladius and scutum, he relied on brute strength and tactical skill to overcome his opponents. Victory brought glory, recognition, and the adoration of the crowd. For Spartacus, each fight was a step closer to freedom, or a step closer to oblivion. The gladiatorial school of Lentulus Batiatus, where Spartacus was held captive, was notorious for its harsh conditions and brutal training regime. Located on the outskirts of Capua, the ludus was a microcosm of Roman society, where the lines between entertainment, commerce, and barbarity were blurred. Within its walls, men from all walks of life were molded into instruments of death. Capua, as a center of gladiatorial training, played a pivotal role in shaping the spectacle of the arena. The city's gladiatorial schools produced some of the most skilled and feared fighters in the Roman world. Gladiators were not simply taught to fight, they were trained to die entertainingly. The Capuan style of gladiatorial combat emphasized aggression and showmanship, factors that would later contribute to the success of Spartacus's rebellion. Life as a gladiator was not just about combat and training. It was a complex existence with its own set of rules, rituals, and social hierarchies. Gladiators, despite their status as slaves, were admired for their courage and fighting prowess. Within the ludus, a strict hierarchy existed. The most experienced and successful gladiators held positions of authority, while newcomers occupied the lowest rung of the social ladder. Gladiators formed close bonds with one another, their lives intertwined by the ever-present threat of death. Despite the hardships they faced, gladiators clung to the hope of freedom. The dream of freedom, however distant, fueled their will to survive and their desire to fight another day. In 73 BC, Spartacus, along with 78 of his fellow gladiators, dared to do the unthinkable. They rebelled against their Roman masters. Escaping from their gladiatorial school in Capua, they ignited a spark of defiance that would soon engulf the Roman Republic in the flames of a massive slave revolt. Spartacus, by his sheer courage and exceptional leadership, transformed a desperate bid for freedom into a powerful symbol of resistance against oppression and tyranny. The rebellion of Spartacus was not just a mere slave revolt, it was a direct challenge to the very foundations and authority of Roman society. Spartacus's army, swelled by thousands of escaped slaves and disaffected rural dwellers, inflicted a series of humiliating defeats on the Roman legions, shaking the empire to its core. Though ultimately defeated after a series of brutal battles, the rebellion led by Spartacus left an indelible mark on the Roman psyche and history. The legend of Spartacus, the gladiator who dared to challenge the might of Rome, would continue to inspire hope and resistance against tyranny for centuries to come, becoming a timeless symbol of defiance. The gladiatorial games, despite their brutality, held a strange allure for the Roman populace. They were a spectacle of violence, but also a display of skill, courage, and the fragility of life. The legacy of the gladiators extends far beyond the blood-soaked sands of the arena. Their stories, passed down through history, continue to captivate our imaginations. The story of Spartacus, in particular, has resonated throughout history, inspiring countless works of art, literature, and film. He symbolizes the struggle against oppression, the indomitable spirit of those who fight for freedom against insurmountable odds. The gladiators may be gone, but their legacy, a potent blend of violence, spectacle, and the enduring human spirit, lives on.